until such hour that we feel like it's too late or we got to ask you to leave. So we got that approval. Second, again, I want to talk about the filming at shelters so that we don't throw these questions to the mayor or anybody else. These decisions are made by our incident commanders in each of the shelters. The reason that we do not allow media in the shelters, it's twofold. Number one, not to interfere with operations. And number two, it's a privacy issue for these folks that are coming in, especially the folks that are coming in with children. So we can't have media walking through the shelters just filming folks. So we're working on if there's something that we can do where we can get maybe at one area, but we would have to go in the shelter. We would have to ask if anyone in the shelter wants to be on camera, wants to be interviewed, and if so, then we could bring those people out and then you could talk to them. But beyond that, we just can't have media walking around just randomly filming or trying to get interviews. So we thank you for understanding that, but that's just the way that's going to be, and it's going to stay that way. So just connect with me or Joe personally, and we'll see what we can do moving forward. It's all going to depend on how crazy the weather gets and if we can get a PIO to actually go down to a shelter to escort and help you guys with that. So we'll do the best we can, as we always do, we promise. So thank you.
You want one flag, I'll take the other.
Yeah, and for those that are going live, I will give you guys a 1 minute countdown, so just stand by. I'll let you know when we're a minute out. 30. Okay, guys, 1 minute. Thirty seconds. Five. Everybody ready? Well, good afternoon. Thank you very much for coming out here today. This is our Friday afternoon briefing on Hurricane Harvey and the efforts, preparations going in our community. We know that all of you in the media are working very hard right now to get information out to the public. We're very grateful for that, and we hope to continue our good
working relationship, as it will be that much more important over the coming hours. Mayor Nuremberg and Judge Wolf are going to give the briefing here in a moment. I just want to give you an idea of everyone who's here so that if you have other specific questions, you can direct them to the appropriate people. Paula Gold-Williams, the President CEO of CPS Energy, is here. Robert Puente of SAWS. Henry Vandepute, the Executive Director of the American Red Cross. Suzanne Scott, the General Manager of the San Antonio River Authority. City Manager Cheryl Scully and Deputy City Manager Eric Walsh. Council Member Villagran is here from the City Council. Am I missing any other council members? That's important. Chief McManus and Chief Hood from the Police Department and Fire Department. Sheriff Javier Salazar, Russ Handy from our airport. Heber Lefgren from our Animal Care Services. Dr. Colleen Bridger from the Metro Health Department. Art Reinhardt from Transportation and Capital Improvements. He can talk about street closures and stormwater management. David McCary from Solid Waste, and I'm sure you haven't missed our Congressman Will Hurd here as well. So I don't believe I've missed anyone, but by all means, direct questions to the appropriate people after the briefing, and I'll turn it over to Mayor Nuremberg.
Thank you, Jeff, and also want to recognize our emergency incident Commander, Larry Trevino. Where are you, Chief Trevino? Okay. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome, and also thank you for being here. You guys have done an amazing job over the last 24 hours to keep our public informed, so we thank you for doing that, and please keep that up. Judge Wolf and I continue to work together and with our community partners to ensure that our city and the county is prepared for Hurricane Harvey this weekend. Bexar County is currently under a flash flood watch and a tropical storm warning. Hurricane Harvey is officially a Category 3 and is moving slowly in the Gulf of Mexico and should make landfall early Saturday morning. Although there have been some changes to the weather projections, we are still expecting several inches of rain over the weekend and through the early part of next week, and that will likely produce localized flooding. We will ask, and we still ask, that you remain home this weekend if at all possible and take measures to ensure that you have all of the essentials you might need to carry you through the weekend. Water, extra batteries, food, and so forth. There are no street closures at this time, but heavy rainfall is expected east of I-35 and I-37. Residents can keep an eye out at bearflood.org for the latest street closure information. It is important to note that Harvey is an evolving storm, and small shifts, as we know, in its track can have significant impact on flooding and flooding potential. For better or for worse. So please keep an eye on this. And it could result in significant rainfall totals, even more than has projected, if things don't go according to their current projections. We're working with our partners at CPS and SAWS to ensure that we're prepared for any weather-related challenges, and Paula Gold-Williams and Robert Puente will have updates on those preparations. CPS Energy is organizing to ensure the resiliency of the system and safety of our community. And high winds, as we know, pose the greatest risk of causing customer outages. And we'll ask Paula to speak to that in a moment. We are still working with the state to provide aid and relief to coastal residents and continue to assist in staging resources, including buses to transport evacuees and organizing in relief plans. So far, we've received almost 700 total evacuees, 694, with 10 additional full buses waiting to check in as we speak. We expect that number to climb as coastal cities continue to experience significant rainfall and high winds, and 200 Gambler Road is a reception center for all evacuees. Please note that is not a facility that's open to the public. We want to make sure that the area is clear for volunteers and for the people who are seeking shelter. People can bring their pets there as well, as Animal Care Services is assisting displaced residents with checking pets into the emergency pet shelter. So for volunteers, the Red Cross has issued an urgent request for shelter volunteers that would like to help hurricane evacuees. The American Red Cross serving Greater San Antonio has opened a volunteer intake center that will activate on Saturday, August 26th from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. The Volunteer Intake Center will be located at their San Antonio office, which is at 3642 East Houston Street, New and first-time volunteers are welcome, and anyone interested in volunteering who does not attend the training should contact 311. The Transportation and Capital Improvements Department of the city has extensive staff and equipment to manage flooding and remove trees from the right-of-way during this storm, and TCI and our Solid Waste Department will work together for cleanup after the storm is passed. TCI is placing barricades at low water crossings and is checking at all of our high water detection areas and drainage facilities. During this storm, TCI will respond to malfunctioning signalized intersections and trees blocking streets due to the high winds. Driving through flooded roadways not only puts your life at risk, but also anyone in your vehicle and also the lives of our first responders. I want to remind everyone that even in relatively shallow water, as few as an inch or two, tires can act as flotation devices that lift up large vehicles and send them downstream very quickly. A vehicle can stall out in just a few inches of water. We had 21,000 people download this Ready South Texas app. If you weren't one of them, do it now. We want to make sure that you have access to information as this storm continues to evolve. The app allows you to receive real-time information and access to evacuation maps, safe routes, and you can also find out about near shelter locations and emergency services. We also ask that you stay connected to the city and the county's social media channels, including Facebook and Twitter. Up-to-date information is also posted on sanantonio.gov, the city's website. I'll remind you to call 311 to report any outages or non-emergency requests for city services such as traffic light malfunctions and debris located in the road. That is an enormous help for our first responders and for our city departments to clear out that stuff, and we need citizens to give us a hand and some eyes on the road when they see things happening. Contact 911 for all emergencies. If you see a low water crossing without any barricades or warnings, please contact the non-emergency number 207 SAPD. Now at this time I'd like to bring Judge Wolf up to give an update on Bexar County's emergency management. Thanks, Judge.
Well, first of all, thank you, Mayor, for your great leadership on this effort and pulling us all together to be ready to help those that come our way, as well as to take good care and provide safety for the citizens of San Antonio and Bexar County. It was interesting this morning. We got up early this morning and spent a good time at the staging area out at the Bexar County arenas, and incredible efforts going on out there. I think we're up now to 250 buses that have come to be able to pull people up here that need assistance. We've got trucks there with medical equipment, with food supplies ready to send down. We've got ambulances staged and ready to go. We had 300 cots there this morning that first responders were spending the night on, as well as a food service that we're providing to them. And just recently, we're now putting another, 600-700 beds, I guess, inside the Coliseum that will be sized up to handle somewhere around 1,000, 1,100 first responders that have come from all over the state to help in this tremendous challenge that's facing us. So I think that's moving along very, very well. And then we've done a good job, I think, with respect to the low water crossings and the warnings we get out. If you go to bearflood.org, I would encourage you to go to that site. It lists all the low water crossing, many of them laying out in the county that are not necessarily right in within the city limits of the city of San Antonio or any other 26 cities that we're coordinating very, very closely with. We have the 179 electronic monitors that are up in those areas, as well as now barriers staged at each one of them. And with the job that Sheriff Salazar has got to do to cover a large county, his people are stationed to be ready to put up those barriers when they're needed to be ready, providing public safety all out in the outlying areas of Bexar County. A very strong efforts being made to help people who are being hospitalized down in the affected areas where the storm will hit. We have a strong operation going here now with the South Texas Regional Advisory Council. They're working in there very hard already. Some 190 patients have been moved up to the Bexar County area. to be able to be transferred to a safer hospital environment. And so they're moving along very, very well to make sure that happens properly. Then we also have our University Hospital, Bexar County University Hospital, that'll be providing services, some of those patients we're taking, as well as providing nursing services at some of the various shelters that will be occurring around the city. So we're all working very, very hard together, a tremendous effort between the state, the county, and the city, and doing everything we can to help. And again, just emphasizing what Mayor Nirenberg has said, let's all use good common sense. Let's stay home and cherish our families and enjoy ourselves there. Try not to get out on the roads and take unnecessary chances. Don't go unless it's really a necessity for you to go. We're also sending out a notice to all of our employees. All non-essential employees will be told not to come to work tomorrow. We'll only have the key people there that we need from the sheriff's office, from some of our public works. Bibliotech will be closed. So we encourage other employers to think about that anyway, depending on how things go this weekend. We believe it's in the best interest of our employees that they not take the danger to be out on the road unless they absolutely have to. Congressman Hurd has provided great leadership for us on a number of issues, and is certainly helping us as you begin to trail all of the costs that this happens. You got local costs, you got costs by the state, you got various different nonprofits that running up cost, and all of us turn eventually to the federal government for help. And Congressman Hurd, you might want to just say a couple of words about what you're doing.
To my fellow San Antonians and residents of Bexar County, you should be proud. You should be proud of your city and county governments. This is my first time seeing this from this side, and the level of cooperation and coordination is incredibly good. And it's because of the preparation that our city and county officials have done in times when there's not problems. We should also know that the level of coordination between the federal government and the state government is ongoing. There are 75 different individuals representing a number of federal agencies working at the State Operations Center in Austin. It's everything from HHS to DOD, the Army Corps of Engineers, Coast Guard, GSA. This is federal, state, and local government working together. And the unsung heroes in this right now is the National Weather Service. Their ability to forecast and make sure we had days' notice of this event has allowed everyone to put their plans into work. Just remember this: turn around, don't drown. If you haven't shared CASA Gov on social media, do that so that our fellow San Antonians and folks in Bexar County know that. And if you haven't downloaded the Ready South Texas app, as the mayor alluded to, please do that. These are all great resources for our citizens of our great county and city. And again, be proud of the level of preparation that's already happened.
Paula Gold-Williams from CPS Energy.
So a large part of what we do at CPS Energy is work on reliability. It's our focus 24/7, 365 in terms of operations. I will tell you we are absolutely aligned to the leadership of our mayor, of the judge, and to the state. We are prepared and have been preparing for several days for the worst. We are hoping for the best. And we are monitoring, much like Congressman Hurd said, the weather ourselves and looking at the forecast. We have every part of our organization mobilized. The majority of our employees are essential personnel. They are already staggered and staged and scheduled to go out in the field as needed. They will be all across our community. We cover 8 counties, and we will be focused on the absolute assurance of energy and fast restoration and safe restoration. The biggest thing I want to also say is safety is the utmost importance. Please, please, please do stay away from high water, and please stay away from any lines that may go down during the storm. Those are very dangerous situations. We will get to them immediately, fastly, but stay away from anything that looks dangerous, and we will be on top of that. We are working. We are part of the incident command work here, and we have our own emergency center operations where we can monitor the whole system. So we are on it. We are monitoring. Our call systems are up. We're available. Reach out to us, and we will be using social media. Please go to our website, and we will have representatives from our organization in terms of operations, in terms of call center, and in terms of safety out there giving updates along the way. Thank you. Stay safe.
Great. Thank you all. Do you have any questions? We can take questions now.
How important was the experience that San Antonio gathered after this meeting?
Well, I think our emergency operations management can tell you that from a neighbor-to-neighbor standpoint, we are telling people first and foremost, check on your neighbors, be a compassionate city. I think those are lessons we certainly learned from top down in our experience in Hurricane Katrina.
Are you using any public facilities, convention center, Automobile, AT&T Center for evacuees?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Are you using any city facilities or county facilities, public facilities for shelters for evacuees?
Yeah. Chief, you want to clarify that? Yeah.
Not at this time. We are actively looking for shelters. We have 2 currently open right now. The third one is open, and we're staffing it right now. So we know we got buses coming from the coastal jurisdiction, and we're actively looking for other shelters that we may be opening throughout the city.
I know you guys said you had like 6,000 beds yesterday. Do you guys think that number will be sufficient, or are you still hoping to secure some more beds?
You know, our capacity will be dependent on the need that's available. Right now we have about 700 sheltered evacuees. We'll be ready for whatever the need requires.
Mr. Mayor, I know one question we always get when there's a incident like this is people want to help. They want to donate clothes, they want to donate food, they want to volunteer. If there's someone out there in the community who says, I'm touched by this, I want to help out, what's the best thing for them to do?
You know, in talking with our fire chief before our conference, he reminded us about, you know, one of the first and most important things you can do is just be a good neighbor. You know, we have a lot of senior citizens in our community. Just make sure you're checking on each other. It's going to be a long weekend. But if there are folks out there that have resources, they have time, they want to help, go to the volunteer training that Red Cross will be hosting. If that doesn't fit your schedule, then you can call 311 and they can direct you to the right place where you can be most helpful. The best thing any citizen can do, though, is get out of the way of our first responders. Stay off the roads. Don't add to the hazard. Make sure that you're staying safe yourself, you're keeping your family safe, and allowing the first responders to do the work that they're going to have to do.
I have a question for CPS Energy. Is there an estimate of how many people you predict might lose power? I know you can't see the future, of course, but are y'all preparing for a certain number of people that you expect may lose power?
We don't have an absolute projection. I will say with the last storm that we had with tornadoes, we peaked at probably about 160 citizens that actually lost power. The height of sustained outage was about 84,500 customers, and those were quite severe because of the the tornado winds. So from that perspective, we are prepared to handle that and more if necessary. We're actually hoping that that type of intensity does not come with the rains. We're hoping that they're not as sustained. So, but we are prepared for that and higher.
What should the evacuees bring to the shelter?
You know, we know that there's been at least 4 counties as of this morning that are under mandatory evacuations. You know, if people are still along the coast and they haven't evacuated yet, it's getting a little bit late. What we would tell them is get out and get to a safe ground, safe shelter as quickly as possible. In this case, there's evacuation routes like I-37 that are being used. You know, we just want to help make sure that when they arrive to San Antonio, whether they're dispersed to another location or whether they're sheltered here in San Antonio, we'll be here to help. But life and personal safety is our most pressing need at this point.
What are some of the materials they need to bring, though? Obviously, their ID.
No, just bring yourself, bring your ID, and bring any medications that you might be required. But just make sure that you're getting yourself to safety. Yeah.
What is the latest guidance you've gotten on the storm? How does it look like it's going to affect San Antonio?
Well, I think Jeff summarized it. It's changing quite a bit, and our National Weather Service guidance has it showing to be a significant event. It's a Category 3 hurricane. The trajectory has been altered just slightly, but we know it's going to dump a significant amount of rain, and it's going to be slow moving. So we're prepared for significant winds. It looks like the winds are going to be picking up to high wind gusts tomorrow. Locally here, but wherever it parks itself, it's going to be a lot of rain, and we know that in San Antonio especially, it can be a small amount of rain and it still be a significant event.
Have you spoken to any of the mayors from any of the other major cities or Corpus?
I'm sorry?
Have you spoken to any of the mayors from major cities in Texas about this event? Is there coordination going on at the mayoral level? And have you spoken to the mayor of Corpus?
Well, we passed each other on announcements that we had to make publicly, but I think what we're trying to do is make sure we're taking care of our local citizens and we're coordinated through the state and through this emergency operations center.
Mayor, we still have some schools that plan to be in business on Monday. Is City Hall going to be open? Do you want these schools to take those precautions and going to be closed? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think what the judge said, I did fail to mention that our city libraries as well as our senior centers will not be open tomorrow. We want to make sure that we are keeping our employees safe as well. But we're monitoring the situation. I know Region 20 will be monitoring the situation. They'll be staying in front of any developments of the weather and making any calls about delayed openings or anything of that nature as we move along.
Mayor, just to clarify this, you mentioned that if people need to go to shelters, they need to bring their ID, but if they don't have it, will they still be accepted?
Oh, yes, of course. Yeah, absolutely. If you have time to grab something, though, you grab the essentials and certainly bring your medication. But no one will be turned away if they need shelter here in San Antonio.
And also, once the storm hits us, is there any plan to evacuate inmates or people who are in our county jails?
Is someone?
There's not.
Yeah.
We're sheltering in place.
We have. They're safe in there. They're safe in there. I should note, though, that the question was asked yesterday about medical evacuations, and we know that we've already brought in about 200 medical evacuees from the coastal hospitals.
Mayor, how fluid is this for you all? How hands-on and how long will you guys be here all night? I mean, is this something you guys are constantly going to be updating us in the sense of
This center is operational 24/7 all the time. You see us here with you guys making announcements when things get pretty hot, but we're here when we're needed, and that is 24/7 right now.
Mayor, with such amount of water expected for San Antonio, some of our viewers want to know, do you have any idea what are the areas of San Antonio that are more at risk, if such amount of water gets to San Antonio?
Well, our residents know them well, and the important thing to note is that there are several hundred low water crossings in the city of San Antonio. We are actively barricading some of those that we know are going to be overwhelmed already, and we just want people to be aware. Stay off the roads. The most risky place to be at this point is in your car on the road during a significant rainfall event. That's why we want people to stay home if at all possible.
Should people living in those low areas just leave?
Just stay tuned. There are no evacuations here in the city of San Antonio. There are in the coastal areas, and so we want to make sure that the avenues are cleared for emergency response and the evacuees that are coming to us, not away from us.
San Antonio, Barrett County, and the San Antonio River Authority have been spending tens of millions on flood control projects through a variety of
Hundreds of millions.
And are these projects designed for a storm of this intensity? Will our infrastructure protect us?
We've certainly seen the very worst of it in 1998, and I think most people up here would tell you that we've had significant rainfalls since then that would have been much worse had the public not chosen to invest in that infrastructure.
Chief McManus, you're sending your officers out there into a pretty dangerous situation. What are you telling them?
Our officers' main objective during times of crisis or any other time is to answer calls for service, and that's what they'll be doing out there today or through this event.
Ed? Thank you all.
Do y'all have an anticipation of how high the San Antonio River could get and if that would flood south of San Antonio?
Yes, we have some pretty sophisticated flood modeling software that we're working with the Emergency Operations Center to run different scenarios based on the amount of rain that's predicted and how that will reflect in the rise of the river as well as creeks. So we have those models for each of the watersheds, and we're running those different scenarios based on information we receive from the National Weather Service.
Do you know about how high, how many feet it could possibly
It really just depends on how much water we get. I mean, obviously, in this rain event is sort of coming up versus coming down from the hill country, so we are reflecting that in our modeling right now. But it could, obviously, you've seen the river get very high, and it really just depends on how much water we end up getting. But we're prepared for that. We have telemetry up and down the river that we can monitor remotely so that we can give different warnings when necessary to the Emergency Operations Center based on river flooding.
Okay, just as a quick recap, Ready South Texas app, please download that. Please call 311 with any information about debris in the streets, 911 for any emergencies. Follow the city and the county, any of these other entities up here on Facebook and Twitter. And for all of our community, please stay home. For our first responders and our media who have to be out there, please be safe, and we will update you as soon as we can. Thank you all for being here.
Okay, guys, again, the room will remain open. You guys can stay in this room if you need to. If you need a restroom, they're in the back. There's a restroom right inside of this room, around the back by the kitchen. So, media, if you're going to stay, please stay in this room only. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Sure. I'm sorry. I just had a quick question. Is there any threat in one part of the water? We're very reliant on council. No power goes out. Then we can That's too wrong, man.
The jackpots reach these very exciting levels. And what that does is it delivers really much larger proceeds to education and then to our other beneficiaries. And so while these jackpots sometimes feel like they grow out of proportion, the end result of the state is always a good one. The lottery is very proud to have contributed over $19 billion to fund K through 12 education in the state of Illinois, and as well as to provide substantial support to our other good causes. So you will almost never see a lottery director holding on to a lottery ticket because we're not allowed to buy or play. But the great part for me in being able to hold up this ticket is because this is the winning ticket that was sold. It's been properly claimed and processed. And I have the honor right now of being able to say the winner, purchaser of this ticket, was Pat Busking from Palos Heights, Illinois. Pat, can you join us out here?
Hi.
Hi. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. I just want to say a few things. I just want to say that the last 2 weeks have been a whirlwind. We've been overwhelmed. It's amazing to think how lucky we were to be in the right place at the right time. As far as our plans for the money, we plan to share the winnings with our family and friends. And we're very excited to be able to donate to charities that are near and dear to our hearts. A few particular organizations have touched our lives, and it will be a pleasure to be able to give back so that they can continue to touch the lives of others the way they have touched ours. Thanks for your time.
So, Pat, can we ask your husband Joe to come up and join us here? I think this is always one of the more fun parts of the lottery prize winning. It doesn't do anything for you at the bank.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Look this way.
That's great. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Can we ask a few questions?
You're waiting
now. Just if you could describe, right up there on the microphone, what it was like when you realized you won. When you looked at that ticket and you realized this is the winning ticket.
Okay, I'll answer that. Okay, thanks.
So you feel
It was surreal. It was an out-of-body experience when I saw all those numbers that matched. I mean, just imagine yourself if you had all those numbers that matched. It was just, couldn't believe it.
Did you play all the time? Is this something that you did?
No, don't play all the time, just when it gets big.
Did you just buy the one ticket?
A quick pick. Yeah.
Did you pick the numbers?
No, quick pick.
So how lucky, how lucky do you feel?
I think it was the right place, the right time. I don't know about luck. You know, it's just right place, right time.
When did you realize that you had won? What was that moment?
I still can't believe it. Let's put it that way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you
a lot.
very much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes I understand you read the numbers and then sometimes.
One time.
So thank you all for being here. It's just a treat to have been able to have the winner come forward and present themselves, and we look forward to many other large jackpot wins by the Illinois Lottery for any of our draw games or instant ticket games. So.
Can you tell us her last name?
Yeah.
Pat and Joe, Busking.
See the ticket? You hold the ticket on front again?
They are residents of Palos Heights, Illinois.
Turn it a little more toward us. Thank you.
Are we good?
Thank you.
Okay. You're all set? Okay. You too? What's that? Doesn't happen often. You took good seats.